A Light Within Darkness Chapter 82, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. The four Slaanesh demons were dragged into the pool of my shadow that was my presence within the warp, and as a deep thrumming, cracking noise rang out, I realized Khorne was probably breaking the world apart slowly to find out where the fuck his champion had gone. So I bounced. I couldn't save any humans here as they were hive city dwellers who were the definition of street rats at best. The guard members wouldn't survive the trip through the warp, probably no matter how hard I tried to protect them. So there really wasn't much for me to waste more time here for. If I wanted to recruit more stable humans, I needed to go to those worlds that weren't hive cities. Maybe I could raid an agricultural world for their farmers, or just one of the average, not terrible to live upon worlds that weren't just suffering to be born upon. I sunk into the pool of shadow that was my connection to warp, and as my head sunk low, I could hear the gentle rushing of waves, and I saw what my internal representation of the infinite warp was like. A dark moon hung over a clear purple sky, waves of clear, ever so slightly glowing blue lapped at the beachhead I landed upon, and in the distance, in the sea, were rock-like outcroppings with glowing gems sticking out of the rocks. Now, I locked Gaz and Ongran way into a box. Is there anything I should do before I head on back home? I mused as I thought of my Warhammer 40k lore. And for a good minute, I considered trying to pull a Trazyn and going on a looting spree in the name of preserving for the future by having my own lifespan increased. I was all but floating in the calmer parts of the warp, so I was safe, especially with my own shadow creations floating in the sea and periodically poking their glowing yellow eyes out of the ocean to peek at me, along with just skittering across the sand out of view in between the rock outcroppings that broke up the view of what would have been a seemingly endless beach. For a moment, I considered popping over toward Sench's territory and getting some of the extremely potent spiritual materials I knew would be readily available, with how his realm would be the most magically and spiritually potent realm. But to be honest, I feared the god of change far more than any of the other chaos gods by far. I then looked below, to where I had forced the four little demonettes who were twisted into the differing forms of Evelyn into kneeling on the sand in front of me. So I am curious, I spoke aloud with some interest in my tone as I pulled at their souls with my physique, and they screamed as their essence was absorbed into my body ever so slowly. See, Slaanesh demons were the concept of overindulgence made manifest, and most certainly included things like pain and pleasure, but there was nothing painful or remotely pleasurable about getting the essence of your existence being devoured. It apparently felt like a gaping maw was closing around them with naught but cold oblivion, closing all avenues of escape, which not even Slaanesh demons could find any pleasure in. So as I made my position over them clear, I eased up on the absorption of their being as I spoke with a small smile. See, I have a need for maids. And I don't just want any maids but the best ones. I am going to rip out Slaanesh's essence and fill it with my own power, and whatever remains is just luck, I suppose. I explained, and then the ever-present wavering shadows thickened, and with a slicing and crunching noise, the Slaanesh demons gurgled as the spikes of shadows pierced their bodies, and like a horror movie began visibly pumping energy within them while I held up a hand towards the four and began absorbing the essence of Slaanesh from their forms. Within not even a minute, I absorbed and digested the Slaanesh essence with my own power, filling the void that was left behind, allowing the demons to retain their form and being. Just with their concept and existence tied to myself instead of that chaos god. I looked upon my new would-be maid, and they were silent and possibly mentally broken for now. So I mentally dismissed them for now by sinking them deeper into shadows to put them into stasis. But my messing with the little demonettes did give me an idea. The first circle of seduction, of avidity, or greed. I mused with an almost perverted grin coming to my face as I realized that Slaanesh obviously put their treasures on the farthest ring in their smaller realm, but considering those treasures were heavily cursed, no one could. Even demons of Sench didn't dare to mess with it, due to how heavily cursed the treasures were. But I, with my special physique, literally ate all the chaotic, and the more toxic things were, the more energy it would provide me. Hell, I was able to drink a literal cup of Nurgle's cocktail without issue, besides the hand mutation I was able to eventually absorb to deal with. And I wanted to see how far I could get through the circles of seduction before I became too powerful and Slaanesh could easily sense me. With a single step, I felt the realm of Slaanesh's presence, unlike the other realms of the chaos gods. Slaanesh welcomed all within her realm, greedily taking them into her bosom, with myself being no different. The sky went from a dark purple moonlit night to a vibrant purple for a split moment before, with another step, my vision darkened as I was automatically shunted into the cave of wonders that was the first ring of seduction.